Okay. I think this video is going to resonate with you for the simple fact that you're overwhelmed because you're overthinking. Just be. In just being just really means get out of tomorrow and get in today. Get in exactly like rather than placing your happiness in tomorrow, but rooted it right where you are today. Be where your feet are. I think we get so caught up in the future that we start living there before it ever happens. And this allows us to get so, and to say it simply, we just get so frustrated in our present because we're so caught up living in our future. We're so far ahead and we've not allowed ourselves to catch up to what we're thinking. We're living in our minds, which causes everything to start feeling like it's going too slow. But it's simply because you are rushing a process. You're simply getting caught in prematurity. You're getting caught in the prematurity, not understanding your process, not rushing the process, rather, not allowing yourself to take in the moment, not allowing yourself to dwell in the moment, to find happiness here too. Because here, if not anywhere else, deserves your happiness. You're not going to be able to find happiness in a future moment because your future self can't solve your current problems. I mean, it's a saying that says you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. So be present. Takes me to Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, and it says, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. I'm actually going to read it from the NLT version. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think sometimes having it a little simpler, yeah, can work wonders too. And it says this: "So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today." You gotta love it. Today's trouble is enough for today. Get out of tomorrow. Not only are you not meant to be there, but rather you're getting overwhelmed because you're trying to worry about tomorrow's troubles while you're still embracing today's trials. Rather than you just counting the trials that you're going through as joy today, you're loading up the weight on your shoulders. I don't know how. I was saying this yesterday in my men's group, but most of us were like more slim guys. And I just told us to look around and realize that our shoulders can't carry a whole lot of weight. Just relatively, right? But how much weight have we added to the load? How much burden have we just been piling up on our shoulders that we're never meant to carry? And I just want to give that question to you. How much load have you been adding upon yourself that you are never meant to carry? No wonder why it's overwhelming. No wonder why it's tiring. No wonder why sometimes it's dreadful to think about now, because you have just piled so much on you. Rather than taking off all of that weight that you were never meant to carry in the first place and give it to the one who can. And then just worry about today, because today has enough trouble on its own. Today is already enough. And if you flip the coin, yes, today has enough trouble on its own, but also it has its own joy in it. For this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It has joy. Today has joy too. So don't look for tomorrow for the happiness. Don't root your happiness like the fools in tomorrow, in the future. But rather be like the wise and place it right under your feet. Which causes you, the root of this is really just saying be present. Because how much more life is going to be added to you if you worry about tomorrow? Or what changes if you start worrying about tomorrow before tomorrow is there? And then we get into the philosophy aspect and we realize that he who suffers before it's necessary suffers more than necessary. Sometimes silence is enough, right? Sometimes the silence is loud. Because it's worth sitting upon. It's worth being still and just allowing it to seep in that, man, I just might be doing too much too soon. That, man, I may just be worrying about more than I can even control. What if I just surrendered the future to itself and worried about now? Because the future is inevitable. Tomorrow is inevitable as long as you make it through today. So do all you can with all you have. What do you gain by worrying about tomorrow? I'll tell you what you do gain. You gain stress on today. You add even more stress today trying to worry about tomorrow. And I'm not saying that this doesn't mean that you should plan. I'm not saying that this doesn't mean that you should organize life even for the future, or that you should have, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is stop worrying about things that you cannot control, nor will you be able to until you're in the present moment. What I'm saying is stop putting your happiness in future places that you have not been. Every time I do that, I get end time revelation. It's always funny because I wonder what you think that's happening when I do it. But anyway, all I was going to get to is just stop putting your happiness in rooms you have yet to walk in, but rather step into it now. Rather, let this be the room. Let this be the environment that you can be happy in, that you can have joy in the now. Because right now is worth the happiness. Don't you realize that this is the future moment that you used to be worried about? But you have not given yourself a break, because yes, you used to worry about this moment. And guess what? Now you're worrying about the next one because you know you're going to get through this just like you're going to get through the next one. Everything is inevitable. So why stress over it? So why add on to the burdens when it was only meant to be light? You're making something heavy that was meant to be light. You're making something difficult that was meant to be easy. Imagine if we just did the thing. The thing is no more difficult than just the task itself. And I think we've all had the revelation. We all have had the hindsight being 2020 that it's always easier than we previously assumed. It's always easier. It's always easier to speak in front of the crowd than we thought leading up to the speech. It's always easier to make the video than we thought while we were writing it. It's always easier to do it than it is to think about or to stress about doing the action. It's always easier to do your taxes. Super random. I promise you I'm not leading to an ad here, but I'm just saying it's always easier to do the thing than to think about doing the thing. It's always more difficult when you start suffering before it's necessary, because it adds on to the suffering, which leads to you delaying the process. See, we're so fickle about thinking if I rush the process, I can get there quicker, but you overthinking it. actually leads you to delaying your present movement. I know it's crazy, right? Like we think, okay, if I do more, if I think about more stuff, I can plan more, I can control more, and it'll lead me to be able to do more. But it actually leads us to paralysis. We actually do less, worrying about it more. It's funny how we can do something spontaneous and get to it and do things faster than when we ponder and try to over understand it and we over analyze the thing, and then we begin to live the analysis rather than just being present in the experience. And as Jesus says it better than anybody else, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Simply just saying, why suffer before it's necessary when the tomorrow is inevitable? When you get there, you get there. Enjoy the journey. The destination is inevitable as long as you keep the course. As long as you stay the course, as long as you're still moving forward, you'll get there. It's inevitable. It's no need to get caught up in prematurity trying to rush the process. It's an inevitable thing. I know, but it's so human of us to think that we can rush something that we can't control. It's so human of us to think that we can rush time when it takes time for it to be time. Time is always befitting for the moment, never before nor later. It's always on time. Isn't it funny that we can rely on time to always be on time? Even when sometimes, I know using a lot of time here, even when sometimes it feels like time can move faster or slower, but time is always on time. There's never a better moment. Time has never missed its mark. So if it's not your time, then it's not your time. In other words, if it's not your time to go through the suffering, don't suffer before it's time. This message is just as much for me as it is for y'all. But in doing so, I really feel like it's for you. I'm realizing it. I'm applying it. I'm not doing it in the best, always the best, right? But I'm aware. And sometimes that is the first step, just being aware. I'm acknowledging it. Acknowledging it so that you can move forward. Once you're able to acknowledge it, then you're able to address it. Realize how much your overwhelmment is just due to your participation in your overthinking. How much your overthinking is actually participating in the undoing of self. How you overanalyzing all these different moments that you have not even experienced yet. I know it's crazy when you think about it. You're overthinking about something that has not happened. And how much less we think about doing the thing when we're just doing the thing. We actually step into the true freedom of participating when we're no longer anticipating. We can just be when we allow ourselves to be. So stop the overwhelmment by stop overthinking and just be. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has its own worries. Today is sufficient for today. Focus on today. Focus on being present here and now, because this is all you got. If you made it to the end of this video, I'm so glad, because obviously this was something that you needed to hear. And I pray it's just a seed that just gets to be sown on fertile soil that's just willing to allow this to grow and grow and grow. And it allows you to be aware of what you're doing to yourself. Because you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. But as soon as you begin to acknowledge it, you now have the freedom to address it. So I pray that's what you do. And hey, even if you don't do it today, that's why I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.